I have two kids who are devastated by these comments, and so all I'll say is just...
This is supposed to be the golden age. This is supposed to be the victory lap. Look at the numbers, they are staggering. Viewership is shattering records. Arenas are sold out, not just in Indiana, but everywhere. The media rights deal, it's historic. $2.2 billion. That is billion with a B. By every single external metric, the WNBA isn't just winning, it is dominating the cultural conversation. But if you peel back the curtain, if you look past the press releases and the highlight reels, you don't see a league popping champagne. You see a league on fire. You see panic. You see paralysis. And you see a full-blown revolt. We are watching a civil war between the people who run the league and the people who actually play in it. And right now, as we head into 2026, the WNBA is standing on the edge of a cliff. We are talking about a potential lockout. We are talking about the nuclear option of decertification. And we are talking about the very likely, very messy removal of Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. So how did we get here? How does a league secure a $2 billion bag and immediately implode? The answer involves a fake $1 million offer, a disastrous CNBC interview, a secret league called Unrivaled, and of course, the Caitlin Clark economy. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the story of the WNBA's existential crisis. To understand this collapse, we have to start with the leadership. Specifically, the woman at the top, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. For a long time, Engelbert was bulletproof. She was the corporate CEO, the former Deloitte boss who steered the ship through the pandemic. But in the last 24 months, her approval rating inside the locker room hasn't just dipped, it has cratered. The turning point? You can pinpoint it to the second. September 2024, CNBC's Power Lunch. Now, context is everything here. The 2024 season wasn't just popular, it was toxic. The rivalry between rookies Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese had spiraled out of control on social media. We aren't talking about healthy trash talk. We are talking about racism. We are talking about misogyny. We are talking about harassment leveled at players, specifically black athletes, that was darker and more menacing than anything the league had seen before. So Engelbert sits down for this interview. The hosts ask her point blank about this dark tone. They ask her about the racism. And what does she do? She doesn't condemn it. She doesn't say this is unacceptable. She pivots. She treats it like a marketing case study. She compares Clark and Reese to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson in 1979. She says, and I quote, "The one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch." She effectively told the world and her players that hate was good for business. The reaction was instantaneous. It was nuclear. Terry Jackson, the head of the players' union, didn't mince words. She released a statement saying that racism is never tolerable in the name of economic growth. She basically accused the commissioner of selling out the players' dignity for ratings. Brianna Stewart, one of the faces of the league, publicly said she was disappointed. Alicia Clark of the Aces was even blunter. She just said, "I wish she would have just said that. It's not okay." It sounds simple, right? Just say racism is bad. But Engelbert couldn't do it in the moment because she was so focused on the metrics. And even though she later tried to clean it up on social media, the damage was done. The players saw the mask slip. They realized that to the league office, they weren't people. They were assets. But if that was the spark, the explosion came from Nafisa Collier. Nafisa Collier is not a loudmouth. She's a star for the Minnesota Lynx. She's reserved. She's professional. So when she decides to burn the house down, you listen. After the Lynx were knocked out of the 2025 playoffs, Collier gave an exit interview that will be studied in sports management classes for years. She didn't hold back. She explicitly called the WNBA's administration the worst leadership in the world. Think about that, the worst leadership in the world. And she brought receipts. She told a story about a conversation she had with Engelbert back in February 2025. Collier was raising legitimate concerns about the officiating, about the physical toll the bad calls were taking on players' bodies. And according to Collier, Engelbert looked at her and said, "Well, only the losers complain about the refs. Can you imagine? You are the commissioner. One of your top stars comes to you with a workplace safety issue, and you call her a loser." But it gets worse. Collier dropped another bombshell. She claimed that Engelbert made a comment about Caitlin Clark that revealed exactly how the league views its biggest moneymaker. According to Collier, Engelbert said that Caitlin Clark should be grateful she made $16 million off the court because without the WNBA platform, she wouldn't make anything. She reportedly said players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal. On their knees. This is the mentality of the people running the show. They believe they made the players, they believe the brand is the star, but anyone with eyes can see that in 2025, Caitlin Clark is the economy. She is the reason the lights are on, and the idea that she should be grateful for a $76,000 salary while she generates hundreds of millions for the league. It's not just offensive, it's economically illiterate. And that brings us to the force out. Insiders are now reporting that Engelbert is a walking ghost. The sports business journal, ESPN, everyone is whispering the same thing: she is done. The only reason she hasn't been fired yet is because the league is terrified of changing horses in the middle of a negotiation. They need her to be the bad cop, get the CBA signed, and then they will likely show her the door. She is a lame duck negotiating for her legacy, while the players know she's vulnerable. It's a recipe for disaster. Now let's talk about the money, because you cannot understand this panic without understanding the Caitlin Clark effect. We all know she's popular, but we need to look at the disparity between what she generates and what she gets paid. It is grotesque. In her rookie season, Caitlin Clark's base salary was $76,535. Her entire 4-year rookie contract, just over $300,000. Meanwhile, she is driving sellouts in every arena she visits. She is the primary reason the league secured that $2 billion deal. Nafisa Collier, again the voice of reason here, summed it up perfectly. She said, "The amount of money that Caitlin Clark has made the league is insane, and she's getting 0% of it because we have no revenue share. 0%. And here is a story you probably haven't heard, but it tells you everything you need to know about the league's mindset. Reports surfaced that Clark recognized this. She knew that when she came to town, the opposing team sold out their arena. They made a fortune on tickets, concessions, and merchandise, so Clark privately asked the WNBA to pay spot bonuses to the opposing players. She basically said, look, we're making all this new revenue, I want the away team to benefit from the Caitlin Clark circus too." It was a classy gesture, it was logical, it was fair. And the league said no. They rejected it. They hid behind the existing collective bargaining agreement. They refused to allow a mechanism for sharing the wealth, even when the Golden Goose herself requested it. That was a massive tactical error. By saying no to benevolence, the league proved to the players that asking nicely doesn't work. The only way to get paid is to take it, and Caitlin Clark isn't sitting on the sidelines anymore. In November 2025, she did something that sent a chill down the spines of the owners. She showed up. She physically attended the CBA bargaining sessions in Indianapolis. She walked into the war room. This was a massive symbolic victory for the union. The league has tried to create a wedge between Clark and the rest of the players to make it seem like she's above the union because of her Nike money. But by sitting at the table, Clark destroyed that narrative. She aligned herself with the rank and file, and sources say she wasn't just there for moral support. She is a savvy negotiator. She knows her worth. Her presence in that room told the owners, if you want the Clark economy to keep running, you have to pay the labor force that sustains it. So the players are united. They have the leverage. And what does the league do? In December 2025, the league tried to win the PR war. They leaked a headline that sounded amazing. WNBA offers players $1 million salaries. If you just read the tweet, you'd think the problem was solved. But the union didn't read the tweet. They read the fine print, and when they deconstructed the offer, they found a trap. First of all, that $1 million figure, it's a mirage. The base salary in the proposal was actually around $800,000. The rest was projected revenue sharing. It wasn't guaranteed, it was a maybe. And the players know about maybes. The last CBA also had revenue sharing targets. But the league set the targets so high that they were never triggered. The players saw $0 from it. So when the league says, trust us, you'll get to $1 million with bonuses, the players are saying, fool me once. But the math gets even sketchier. The league claimed this new deal would create an average salary of $500,000. Sounds great, right? But then in the same proposal, they set the team salary cap at $5 million. Now do the math with me. A standard WNBA roster has 12 players. If you divide a $5 million cap by 12 players, what do you get? You get roughly $416,000. You cannot have an average salary of $500,000 if the math only allows for $400,000. It is mathematically impossible. The union looked at this and asked, is this incompetence? Or is this a lie? Are they bad at math? Or are they trying to trick us? But the insult didn't stop at the salary cap. The league tried to claw back benefits. Since 2016, teams have been required to provide housing for players during the season. It's a standard benefit, but in this new $1 million proposal, the league said, since we're paying you more, we're going to stop paying for your housing. They tried to spin it as freedom. Now you can choose where you live, but the players saw it for what it was, a tax. Think about the markets we are talking about: New York, Los Angeles, Seattle. Do you know what a short-term 6-month lease costs in New York City? You are talking about $30, $40, maybe $50,000. So if the league gives you a raise, but then forces you to spend 50 grand on rent that used to be free, that's not a raise, that's a wash. And for the rookies, for the players on hardship contracts who get signed for 7 days at a time, it's a logistical nightmare. Imagine getting signed by the New York Liberty on a Tuesday and having to find an apartment in Brooklyn by Wednesday. It's unsafe, it's unprofessional. Indiana Fever forward Brianna Turner called it out immediately, noting that housing is a player safety issue. Removing it was a non-starter. And then, there was the schedule. The league proposed starting training camps in mid-March. If you follow basketball, you know why that's crazy. Mid-March is March Madness, the NCAA tournament. If WNBA training camps start in March, the rookies, the Kailton Clarks and Angel Reeses of the future, can't be there. They are still playing in college. It creates a massive conflict. Plus, it cuts into the off-season. And the off-season is where these women make their real money, playing in Europe or in the new leagues springing up. Which brings us to the disruptor, the thing that truly broke the WNBA's leverage: Unrivaled. Unrivaled is a new 3-on-3 league founded by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. And it is the WNBA's worst nightmare. Why? Because Unrivaled proved that the money is there. In its very first season, January 2025, Unrivaled paid an average salary of $222,000. At that time, the WNBA's maximum supermax salary was about $214,000. Think about that. A startup league, in its first year, was paying a higher average wage than the WNBA was paying its absolute superstars after 28 years. And it wasn't just salary. Unrivaled gave every player equity. They aren't just employees, they are owners. They own a piece of the league. That is the revenue-sharing model the WNBA has refused to touch. Look at Paige Bueckers. She is projected to be the #1 pick in the 2025 draft. She signed an unrivaled contract that paid her more in 8 weeks than her entire 4-year WNBA rookie contract will pay her. That statistic alone destroys the WNBA's argument. They can't say the money isn't there when Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier went out and found it themselves. Strategically, Unrivaled is a weapon. It's what negotiators call a BATNA, a best alternative to a negotiated agreement. If the WNBA locks the players out in 2026, the biggest stars aren't going to starve. Stewart, Collier, Reese, Bueckers, they have a place to play. They can stay in America, play for 8 weeks in the winter, and make 6 figures. That safety net emboldens them. They don't have to take a bad deal just to pay the mortgage. Unrivaled investor Alex Bizzell said it clearly. We want to set the new standard of what expectation is for pay. They have set the floor, and the WNBA is struggling to reach it. So where does this leave us? We are racing toward a deadline, January 9th, 2026. If there is no deal, we are looking at a lockout. And a lockout right now would be catastrophic for the league. Remember, the WNBA is expanding. They have new franchises in Toronto and Portland that need to hold expansion drafts. If the league is locked out, those drafts can't happen. The launch of those teams gets delayed, the expansion fees, hundreds of millions of dollars, get jeopardized, and the media deal, that $2 billion prize, it relies on content. If the season is shortened or canceled, the league is in breach of contract with Disney and Amazon. The money vanishes. The players know this. They know the owners have more to lose than they do. That is why the union is whispering about the nuclear option, decertification. This is the ultimate weapon. The players could vote to dissolve their own union. If there is no union, labor laws change. The WNBA would lose its ability to enforce a salary cap. They would lose the draft. They would lose free agency restrictions. The players could sue the league under antitrust laws. They could argue that the draft and the salary cap are illegal restraints of trade. The NFL players used this threat years ago to force the owners to the table, and given the grotesque disparity between the WNBA's revenue and the players' salaries, legal analysts think the players would win. The WNBA is in a paradox. It has finally achieved the dream. The fans are there. The stars are global icons, but the structure is rotting from the inside. The rejection of that $1 million offer was a watershed moment. It was the players saying, "We are done subsidizing your caution." Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is likely the first casualty of this war. Her inability to read the room, her tone-deaf comments, and her refusal to treat the players as partners have made her a liability. The force out is already in motion. As we stare down the barrel of 2026, the league has two choices. Option A, they stop the tricks, they stop the fake math. They treat the players like the billion-dollar assets they are, share the wealth and ride this rocket ship to the moon. Or option B, they cling to the old model. They lock the players out, they lose the expansion teams, they breach the media contracts, and they squash the greatest momentum women's sports has ever seen. The ball is in their court, but for the first time in history, the players aren't just waiting for a pass, they are ready to take the ball and go home.